Every tick of the clock draws Britain closer to a new political dispensation. As the polls open and voters cast their ballots, what will the results mean for the country, the people and the international community? On this edition of Foreign Dispatches, it's the battle for number 10, the UK 2015 general elections in focus. Hello and thanks for joining us on this edition of Foreign Dispatches. I'm Doris Okenwa, your dispatcher here in London. It has been a season of vigorous campaigning, and now that's all coming to an end as election day dawns. Parties and their candidates have combed the length and breadth of the 650 constituencies in the UK, engaging in debates, presenting their manifestos and trying to win the hearts of voters.
Other parties trade in fear. We start with hope.
Is it any wonder that trust in politics has broken down to the extent that it has? Let's have a trade deal with Europe, but make our own laws.
No one standing here is going to win this election outright. I'm not even going to pretend that I haven't made mistakes. Put my hands up when I have, and I've learned from them.
This election is a chance to change the Westminster system. We will make Scotland's voice heard.
The choice at this election is sticking with a plan that's working, or going back to the debt, taxes, borrowing and spending that got us in this mess in the first place.
Plaid Cymru offers an alternative. We offer hope.
I say Britain can do so much better than it's done over the last 5 years.
I think it's all about balance, isn't it? Cut less than the Conservatives and we'll borrow less than Labour.
We could save another £10 billion a year by not paying over money to Brussels every single day.
If you don't understand the mistakes of the past, you can't provide the leadership for the future.
English taxpayers are a bit cheesed off with so much of their money going over Hadrian's Wall.
More debt and more taxes, more debt and more taxes, a lot more debt and more taxes.
None of these guys can be trusted when it comes to tuition fees. I hope there's some SNP MPs in the House of Commons keeping him honest.
Thank you.
Because I'm worried that at the end of the day there's more
Thank
of
you
us
very
than
much
there is of
indeed.
them. They're not listening to our concerns.
So the idea of today's show is to capture divergent views. This is a country where different interests converge. We want to see how different people think, what different people are saying about the elections. And I'm with one of such interests here, women who are marching against the inequalities in Parliament. They want more women representatives in Parliament.
That's right.
Frances, tell me about this.
Well, I've set up the 50/50 campaign, which is an online petition which you can find at change.org/50/50 Parliament. And we're campaigning for better gender balance in the House of Commons.
Why is this so important? Yes, well, besides the fact that we're in the 21st century and should be different.
Justice, yes. In the past 3 elections, we've only had, on average, 8 extra women a time. And if we carry on at that rate, it will take 100 years to get parity. And we want parity within our lifetime. We really can't wait 100 years. We want men and women side by side, passing the laws of the land together.
Like I said, different interests, different people of different nationalities converge. We'll play a feature for you on that. We'll also be talking to an expert from Chatham House and a politician from the ethnic minority. So first of all now, look at what different people have to say from across London's communities.
This election we have never had like that. We had always only 2-3 parties where we have to choose from, but now we have 7 or more.
This year I'm actually going to vote in Green. I don't trust any of them anymore.
I have a feeling it might be Labour, because they're so strong this year. I think Ed Miliband is very strong this year.
Possibly David Cameron Conservatives will win again, because they've done a very good job of pulling the country back together after the disaster left by the Labour Party.
As a voter and as an ordinary Briton, it doesn't make me feel very confident that either party, of Labour or Conservative, is really listening to the ordinary person in the street. David Cameron talks about more people in jobs, but he fails to mention that most of these jobs pay very low wages, and they are only part-time. We have a huge number of people, particularly young people, who cannot afford to leave their parents' houses and go and be independent and start families of their own. We have a National Health Service, one of the gems of British life, in acute crisis, and nobody in the government is really addressing that. We have teachers who want to quit because they're so overworked. We have doctors who want to quit because they're so overworked. We have a disaster in the nursing industry because nurses are now expected to get degrees rather than go to nursing colleges, which is very expensive for them. And yet we have this pressing need for well-qualified, well-trained nurses that we've never had before. So coming back to Britain, as I say, after nearly 30 years, I'm both encouraged at many of the opportunities there are in Britain, but very discouraged at the way the two major parties are handling the crises in this country at the moment.
I want to see something new. Maybe even a new system.
Coming from my perspective, being an urban planner, I'm concerned with which party will be of the most benefit to my profession. We have the big issue of house building, which is one of the biggest issues of the election, whereby we aren't building nowhere near enough houses in Britain, and as a result, property prices are just sky high.
I suppose as a young person also, the economy seems less real than sort of people's housing and their, getting the minimum wage. All of those priorities to young people are more prescient. So promising a minimum wage, apprenticeships, more housing, those are the things that I think matter to us. So whichever party can be most realistic about that.